Alrighty. Let's get this shit started. Actually, let me, I'll be right back. I'm going to grab a drink really quick because it would be a massive breach of protocol to start off a new PTU patch without an alcoholic beverage nearby. And right now I don't have one. So 2 seconds. Let me sprint on over to the fridge and bring my co-streamer Jack Daniels out. And we'll start talking about 3.8 initial impressions and seeing if we can break this patch. Because that's what it's really about. You know? Hey, Thematic, how's it going, man? All right, welcome to patch 3.8 PTU. Fair warning, according to CIG, this is going to be a little different than normal PTU Wave 1. Evidently, they're trying to stress test server-side OCS, so we'll see if this ends up being more or less unreliable than normal. To 3.8's benefit, it does have the first iteration of server-side OCS. We've had client-side OCS since 3.3, I think it was. That made a huge difference in 3.3. Whether or not server-side OCS has the same weight, we'll see. My frame rate really hasn't been abnormally better, I guess I would say. So I'm kind of on the fence on that. We'll see. I guess the big thing though is it's gonna make a difference on how the servers hopefully perform. So we'll see how that goes. So right off the bat, you're gonna notice something as soon as we come out of here. Oh yeah, easy have. What the fuck? If you can't tell, this is not Olisar. Haha. One of the key features that they talked about coming in 3.8 was the ability to have HABs put into all the orbital stations and rest stops. And this is one of the HABs in said rest stop. This makes me so goddamn happy. It has been a huge annoyance to me for, over a year now, that the only places you could really land and respawn and do stuff at were Olisar, Levski, Lorville, Area 18, and Grim Hex. So it's so nice to be able to go to a rest stop. If you're out doing missions or whatever, and you're okay, I want to get off, and you don't want to deal with chancing a bed login and not working, which in 3.7 they were working fairly reliable. But let's say you don't want to deal with it, right? Or for whatever reason, you just want to reset your spawn point to some place that's going to be away from the hustle and bustle of other players. You can now pick out your favorite rest stop, land there, and it will save you to respawning there instead. Another thing you're going to notice is the interiors on the rest stop. They are fucking huge now. There are multiple wings. The previous observation decks are very much different now. Just everything about the rest stops is just massive now. Which is really, really good, because previously, like, you would land at these, you know, the revised rest stops, like what you see outside, right? And you'd go inside and it'd just be this little inky dinky tiny room, and it's like, okay, I guess this is all the space they're using, eh? Fair enough. And now they are filling out the space much, much better. So fair warning, I haven't spent a whole lot of time in here. I basically flew out to get away from the spawn point in case server lag and whatnot got bad with everybody zerging the server. So it's very possible that I'm going to get lost in here because, like I said, it is huge. One of the things they talked about during CitizenCon in changing the rest stops was having the storefronts be more like a shopping mall, right? Where they're open faced instead of having to walk through different, what do you call it? Different doors and whatnot. And I think overall it definitely adds to like a better looking aesthetic. It's going to be a pain in the ass to drop off a box at the rest stops now, though, that's for sure, because the admin office is all the way up here now, and where we were, it's just the hab area. It's not even where the hangar access stuff is. My biggest complaint with the rest stops is the fucking bar, of course. As everybody knows, it's a very important part of the game if you're a chronic alcoholic like me, right? He don't serve me shit, and there is no alcohol left out in the open for you to serve yourself. So the bars are utterly useless still. Buddy, the wall's over there. So that was kind of a disappointment on a like potential for doing drunk citizen streams level. But yeah, all right, let's head towards Microtech. So that's like, I guess you call it like the food court and shop wing. And then that way would be the habs and, what do you call it? Viewing deck. And then this way to your hangars. To the hangars. Order. Hey, Alien Hunter, how's it going? And yeah, Inukami. I mean, if the bartenders aren't going to sling drinks, at least leave the bottle out so I can help myself, right? Really, just really stressing out my immersion, okay? I'm trying hard to, like, get into my headcanon and personal narrative, and CIG is just having none of it. All right, there's another very major change in 3.8 that some of you have probably heard about. We'll talk about here in a second. So Microtech is way up here. It's going to be a pretty solid drive if you're down here at ArtCorp.
Thank you, and please visit again.
I don't know, Kojit. There's a couple different things. I'll go into that here in a minute. All right, 30 million. It is 10-11 right now. So one of the other major things that they changed in 3.8 was they drastically reduced quantum travel times. I'm personally a little bit sad about that because I kind of enjoyed the longer travel times. It gave me like time to do other crap in between missions and stuff like that. But I know the vast majority of people who are unhappy with quantum travel are unhappy because of the travel times. So rejoice, especially if you're in something like an Aurora and not kind of cheesing the quantum travel game by being in a larger ship or something with a size 2 military drive like a Vanguard. You should be much more capable of getting around the solar system now. Man. That's a tough one, right? Like, I don't think it's my place to say it's a mistake to pay for it because everybody's enjoyability is going to be different, right? Like there will be people who would spend $45 for like the bare minimum pledge and jump in here and absolutely hate it and be like, this was a huge mistake. I should never have bought this game. And there are also people who are going to spend the $45 and just fucking cream themselves over how amazing everything is. The big one for me on why I don't recommend the game is because, like, I guess, like, it's a personal thing with, like, reputation, like, putting my name on something like that. And I don't feel like Star Citizen deserves that yet. Some of the major things that would improve that, persistence is, like, number one. Number one is persistence. There needs to be an actual functional game, right? And there really isn't a functional game if it's basically wiping constantly, because then there's no reason to do anything. I mean, like, yeah, you can jump on there and dick around in the sandbox and then lose your progress constantly. But, like, I don't know. To me, that's not fun, and I wouldn't recommend something that's not fun to me. Persistence is a major one. We'll see how CIG handles this stuff. Like, yeah, Chris talked about, oh, hey, we're going to be adding persistence and, you know, no more wiping between milestones unless, you know, blah, blah, blah. But that's the thing. He put a big fat, like, disclaimer on that promise by saying, like, hey, if, you know, we need to because of database reasons or whatever. So, like, they basically left it open-ended enough to where, like, they could just wipe every milestone patch and say, oh, well, we needed to because of X or Y. Oh, easy there. Oh, I forgot the look ahead camera. I was like, why the fuck is my camera moving? That shouldn't happen. Persistence is a very, very big one for me. Previously, another one that was a huge issue was ship purchasing and rentals. They checked that off, so, I mean, that argument's kind of put to bed. God, what else would be major stuff? Reliable performance for people that, you know, don't have multi-$1,000 gaming rigs would be nice. I don't know if I would say that would be a mandatory thing, but it would be nice if, like, they could start optimizing shit. And be more upfront with the pay-to-win stuff and the way they market it, right? Like, that would also be a huge one, because otherwise, like, if I were to recommend Star Citizen to somebody right now, like, let's say I think the game is good, there's enough content there, whatever the case may be, and I was going to start recommending Star Citizen to people, I would immediately put a huge disclaimer on it being like, hey, look, this game is incredibly pay to win, pay to advantage, whatever you want to call it. Be aware of that before you invest any money on it, that people who have a bigger wallet than you are going to fucking seal club the shit out of you. So that's something to be aware of. Like, yeah, there are ship purchases in game and ship rentals, and that definitely helps. The rentals especially definitely helps with allowing people who don't want to spend a lot of money on Star Citizen being able to get into more competitive ships quicker thanks to rentals. Whereas before, if it was ship purchases only, it gave you an option, but it wasn't a very realistic option for somebody with starter tier ships. Ship rentals definitely helps a lot. Yeah, team gameplay loops would be really nice. Like, yeah, we have mission sharing, but it really bugs me that you can't just give somebody credits, right? Because that means you're restricted to doing group play in mission format, right? You can't do group play with like cargo hauling and being like, oh, hey, I'd like to have people help crew my caterpillar so I'm not completely defenseless, and then be able to just pay them at the end of each run. Stuff like that is kind of, in my opinion, kind of a big deal. I mean, honestly, I feel like they're getting closer to a point where I would recommend, I don't want to say recommend, but not dissuade people or strongly caution people from getting into the project. Unfortunately, the shady marketing aspects, those are fucking very much still intact, and like that, they are not going anywhere. Like, they're not even trying to improve. I would argue that they're getting worse on the shitty marketing tactics and like money grabs and shit like that. That stuff is super no bueno. And that is like a huge black mark on like recommending it. That would be another thing. Like, along with the pay to win, I would be like, hey, by the way, this company just wants your fucking money. Fuck you. Even if you give them money, once they have your money, they don't give a shit about you unless you're gonna pull out your wallet again and give them more new money. So be aware of that, by the way. There isn't a launch date yet, Kratos. This is Wave 1 PTU. So it's possible this could be in PTU for a week. It's possible it could be in PTU for, who knows, maybe a couple days. This is Microtech now, yes. We just kind of have to see what happens. I absolutely believe that it'll go live before they go on holiday break. So there is that. Sure is pretty white down there. Oh my God, SSOCS. Don't even get me on the the fucking Puerto Rico shit, dude. They're like, oh God, that Puerto Rico event is so fucking enraging, dude. Fuck wargaming. I'm really like, I hope War Thunder starts to get more battleships so I can be like, just burn in hell, wargaming. You're literally like, they act like mobile game developers with like the fucking shit they pull. Like, I really don't like Cloud Imperium's marketing tactics and like some of the bullshit they do, but I feel like wargaming, like going back to World of Warships, wargaming has shown me that like CIG could be worse, and that like at least CIG is open about the fact that they're just gutting you for money, right? Like, they're like, hey, here's this fucking concept ship. It costs fucking stupid money. Give us new money to get the Warbond version so you get all the goodies, or you can have the crap version if you already spent money and you're just going to use credits, I guess. Ugh. Whereas like wargaming's like, oh yeah, here's these loot boxes, here's all this shit, we fucking obscure what you're actually after with random dumb shit, and oh, by the way, our event that we were advertising and promoting for like a month and a half, of course it's unrealistic for you to get the ship. It was only meant for the top 1% of our player base. It's like, what the fuck? Okay, I guess. I think I could see the parallel there, Robert, right? Like comparing the Ares to the Vulture. They're both like sacrificing a lot of flexibility to have, you know, not as drastically in Elite with the Vulture, but they're both sacrificing hard points to have an upsized weapon tier for like the size of the ship that they are. Would I recommend a freelancer or a cutlass as a solo player? Absolutely. Those are both very, very good options. I personally usually prefer the cutlass. Just visually, I like the cutlass a little bit more than the flying dildo, but I would argue that I almost said freelancer, but then I was like, no, we're calling it flying dildo. We've committed. The flying dildo also, I would say, is almost a little bit better. It feels more survivable. The firepower is a little bit more there. And I think it has more cargo space, if I remember right. It's been a while since I've compared the two. But both of those are really good solo ships. If you want to have, like, a multi-crew ship. Like, if you're willing to spend a little bit of money, but you don't want to spend a lot of money, right? I think the Freelancer and the Cutlass are both very good. They're very good ships for the dollar amount. Yeah, the backdrop shadows on the HUD is so fucking nice. Like, this planet would have been cancer if they hadn't made that change. That it would have been such a big deal. Oh, nice, minables. Shit, I should have gone and got a mining laser. Nice that those show up. That's convenient. I'm sure that'll get patched, but it's convenient right now. I will say, like, I'm so happy for Microtech. Give me one sec here. Yeah. Sometimes I forget my settings are a little... Those shadows are kind of wonk. My settings are a little bit different between live and PTU. Because I never really play PTU enough to, like, commit. Like, I'll get on and test stuff and file some reports, but I'm never like, oh, okay, I'm going to go ahead and tune all my controls over. So, like, the sensitivities aren't dialed into, like, where I want them and stuff like that, and some of my binds are different. So, that's always a fun adventure. I'm so happy for Microtech. Like, visually, this is so much more appealing than anything else before Microtech. Like, just going anywhere prior to Microtech, it's like, oh, yay, more bland, more ugly, more empty, gray, brown, woohoo. Like, this is so refreshing to see, like, just snow-covered hills and mountains and, like, actual trees and forests. It makes me really sad that there's nothing to really do on the planet, like real gameplay loop-wise. I mean, aside from, I guess, mining. But, just visually at least, right? That's so fucking nice. So nice that, like, you have these different biomes now. Obviously, this is snow and winter. But the fact that there is green biomes on Microtech as well is so fucking good. Yeah, let's do that. We can come by New Babbage in a little bit. Let's try and go find some green Jetstream. That's a great idea, man. Yeah, the 890 jump now has camouflage. True enough. True enough. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this camera stuff. That hurts my sensitivity. It just feels really sluggish now. Like, normally I can whip around in third person really easily, and it feels really slow. And I don't remember tuning that in live. So I don't know if it's like the look ahead messing with stuff or what the deal is. I love the snow mountain area in Red Dead. Like, for one, it just looks pretty, and it's great for, like, going and hunting elk and stuff like that. But it's also great because nobody's ever there. I can't fucking stand running into players on Red Dead because it's like a fucking autism fest, like Grand Theft Auto 5 online. Like, I can't handle that shit. Like, PvP's fine. One sec. PvP is fine. I don't mind, like, all that stuff when there's a reason to do it. And Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead are both just like, oh, there's a person. Let's fucking... Oh my god, my fucking throat. It's like, oh, hey, there's a person. Let's both waste all of our ammo and literally wasting money just to kill each other for no reason. This is cool. And it's just frustrating because like a lot of times I want to get on there and just go hunting or do something like that or make money or whatever the case may be. And anytime I see a player, I'm like, oh god, here we go. All right. Is this considered atmo? It won't let me jump this high. Oh, but I can hit an OM from here. That's fucking nice. I'll take that. Well, that's the big problem, Robert, with Red Dead. I don't know if you played it, right? That is the workaround for Grand Theft Auto Online, right? Like you flag private or whatever, or I mean you can flag like non-combatant or whatever it's called. I don't even remember anymore. It's been a long time since I played GTA 5. So like you can basically like deflag yourself, right? Or you have lobbies. In Red Dead, there's no deflagging, right? Like you will always be attackable by other players. And there are no lobbies. So, like, let's say you and, like, your friends want to play a game together and just go out and do some stuff, right? You can't do that in Red Dead. And it's super, super frustrating. I wonder if the not snow stuff is all in the dark side. Oh no, there we go. That's green. So left car. Like that's a good example of like them not adding enough stuff, right? Like there should be harvestable stuff, like plants and stuff like that. You can go down there, collect samples from or whatever, or harvest in general for money. Like it kind of sucks that like the only thing to really do is pick up poop or go FPS mining, you know? Hendrik, so when the throttle's red like that, it means you're above your cruise mode speed. It does mean that like anything that you're doing maneuvering wise in that range puts extra stress on your engines and your coolers to keep your engines from overheating, or your thrusters as well. But it doesn't mean it's damaging. Above that is basically cruise mode speeds. It's kind of weird because we used to have a mode a long time ago in Star Citizen. You'd have like a button you would click and it would switch your ship over from cruise mode to standard or whatever it was called. What the fuck? Hello. Goodbye. That was weird. UE Navy. Alright. I just kind of spawned on top. Why not? Yeah, there was precision mode too. My bad for landing. Totally forgot about that. But anyways, they eventually got rid of that to where you just straight accelerated up if you wanted to go into cruise mode, and that was it. So now the red line is essentially showing you where you've broken into your cruise mode speeds. There's a keybind for untarget, but I usually don't mess with it because I just don't care enough. Like if I have a target set, usually. You also obviously untarget if you get far enough away from it, because everything has like a range at which it can be targeted. So once that's gone, it drops off of your target. The only targeting keybinds I really care about are target nearest enemy, target nearest friendly, and target over reticle. Target over reticle being like the most useful in my opinion. Yeah, it's because I moved away from it, so that's why I untargeted him. That works too, Solo. That works too. You could go that route. Though with fines in the game now, I really don't want to start shooting at UEE Navy. So let's not do that. That's another thing that's in 3.8 that I kind of feel mixed about. Is getting fines for crimes. There are kiosks around the different stations and stuff like that to pay off fines, but there's like, this is another one of those mechanics in Star Citizen where it feels like they implemented something a little kind of early in the overall game, right? Because it is incredibly easy to get a fine or a crime stat by doing like nothing intentionally illegal, right? Like, you could have your friend walk behind you while you're backing up a car and run him over, and congratulations, you're a criminal, you murdered somebody. You could summon your ship and it's sitting on the pad and you're literally like about to take off, but for whatever reason the game's like, oh, this ship's been on the pad for too long, fine. It's a crime stat, enjoy, ha ha ha, you pesky criminal. And it's like, I literally went straight from the terminal to my ship and you're fining me and giving me a crime stat, why? The quantum interdictions by the police and security forces is a huge one for me, because they'll pull you out, right? And God forbid you jump into quantum to go somewhere and you drop from quantum and the game decides that you're going to keep random weird momentum. Like, everybody always says like, oh, we'll just quantum without any speed, right? And I've done that a million times and I still end up dropping out of quantum with like insane momentum carrying me off in like a random direction. So I basically have to afterburner brake in order to stop. Well, if the police pull you out and you don't immediately stop, then they consider you running away and you get crime stat for that. So I really don't want the game accidentally chipping away at my account balance just because of bugs and stupid shit like that. So I really have kind of mixed feelings on the whole like fines and crime shit that they introduced with this patch. Let's actually shift over here a little bit. Be nice if we can drop down like as the sunset is coming instead of like right on the border. Yeah, I mean, I understand things are in alpha, right? And I understand things are in development, whatever. Nothing's permanent, whatever other excuse Jared wants to plug into every Star Citizen video he makes. I get it. Like, I don't understand if people think because I criticize parts of this game, I don't understand it's an alpha. I do. And I am incredibly forgiving and understanding with this game. But that's one of those things where it's like, there's so many other things that you could prioritize putting into the game. Why put fines in now? Like, that's not oh, well, it's alpha. Like, that doesn't cover that. That's just a really dumb thing to put in for your players who are, you're expecting them to test and expecting them to provide feedback and expecting them to play the game. I mean, like, your marketing team straight up basically calls this an early access release. They're not saying, oh, it's an alpha. They're fucking selling it as an EA title. So, like, why put in mechanics that just cause grief to your player base if the overall game isn't ready for them? That's like one of my biggest gripes with this game, is when they do shit like that. I mean, they can for sure, but like, don't expect people not to criticize it, you know? You can absolutely put stuff like that in. You can put in interdictions even though they serve no purpose and it's just more grief for your players. You can put in stuff like fines and whatever else you want to put in, but you can't under the same umbrella be like, oh, well, you can't say bad stuff, it's alpha. Like, that's, no, fuck that. They did add shadows to the UI. If they had not, I mean, this background's kind of not really that white, but when we were landing in the snow zone, you would not have been able to see the HUD. They did add shadows to the HUD. I'm not sure about the chat because it doesn't look like it's applying it to the chat. But it is on the HUD, for sure. Let's see. Wait real quick. No, it didn't save. Fuck you. Oh, right. It only changes after somebody says something else, I think. I mean, that's one of the things that drives me crazy, Solo, right? Is like there are a lot of things that would be major quality of life improvements for the game that like shouldn't be major endeavors for CIG to fix. Like little dumb shit, right? And they take months to years to change them sometimes, and it's insanely frustrating. Yeah, I'm excited to play Drop the Soap minigame. I mean, that's what I pledged Star Citizen for, really. I wanted to get convicted and then just live my life in a prison. Fuck getting out. I'm not breaking rocks for the man. I'm not having somebody bust me out. I'm gonna live in there. I'm gonna be like a prison kingpin and fucking shivving people. It's gonna be great. Yeah, I'm really interested to see what they end up doing with hangars, because like, you know, way back when, like 4 or 5 years ago or whatever, the hangars, like, they made sense. They were like, oh yeah, this is gonna be the hangar that you're gonna use and blah blah blah. And now we have these stations where like they're actual hangars, right? You're not like flying up to a space station, right? Because like back in the day we weren't gonna have any of this shit, right? You weren't going to land on a planet. You weren't going to go up to like a physicalized space station. You would go into a cinematic. It would show your ship landing at the space station, and then you would teleport into your actual like hangar, like your Aero View or your York and Revelry or whatever hangar you had, and that your ship would be in there, and your ship would be like your flares and all that stuff would be arranged however you had your hangar set up, right? But now we have actual like landing zones with actual hangars and all this other crap. So now I'm really curious, like, how are you going to ever implement those hangars when we have actual hangars that we land in, right? Like, it's completely different than the original plan was. So I'm really like interested to see if those hangars ever actually matter again. I am Pazuzu. I'm about to feel really... Oh, okay. That's weird. That was a spike. I'm about to feel really dumb if there's no green around here, because it really looked like there was from outside of Atmo, but... No, I think I was bamboozled. Yeah, exactly, Hoplite, right? Like, and, you know, not even just the hangars, but a lot of people specifically buy hangar flare because they wanted to build out those hangars. So, like, that's what I'm saying. I'm really curious what is going to actually happen with that stuff, because obviously it matters to some people. I don't personally care about the hangars, right? But it does matter to some people. Yeah, the Battlefield Battlefront Planetside 2 clone. I'm trying not to get into it yet, because I know it's going to be a super negative video and I'm going to talk a lot of shit. So I'm trying to like give people a break after the CitizenCon stream where I was a real dick, right? I think it's stupid, to be very, very brief, and without like really going into it, I think it's really, really dumb. And I don't know. Like, I feel like CIG's just like not supported enough stuff that falls under like Arena Commander, Star Marine, or whatever. So like, I'm really hesitant to believe them that, oh yeah, we're actually gonna pay attention to and keep up to date with. Although at the same time, you know, after they bought their Red Bull boy, fucking Rexzilla, maybe they will, because it's clearly like gonna be his cup of tea. Yeah. Oh my God, Hoplite, so much, dude, so much. The old hangar was so much better when like the more ships you put in it, the bigger the hangar got. Like now you got this little baby thing, and like you can't even put all your ships in there. I mean, I never really go to the hangar, but it was kind of cool. You know, like if you had a bunch of ships, you could literally just deck that fucking hangar out, and you literally needed your Grey Cat buggy. You literally needed the Grey Cat to drive around your hangar. Otherwise, you were spending like 5 fucking minutes running across that thing. Like the Grey Cat had purpose back then. Is that like lava biome? Let's go a little lower. We're gonna go slower, but fuck it. Yeah, like that's kind of a big reason why like I nag on the whole like, oh, we don't even have one whole solar system still, because like a lot of people are constantly like, oh man, they're making the tools, yeah, it is, Scott. They're making the tools for it, but like that was the same thing that they were saying back in like 2015, and back then they were like, oh, once we get these tools made, we're going to be able to just churn them planets out, and they're still at a point where, like, you know, kind of snail's pace. So it's like, okay, at what point are you guys going to be able to actually start putting out these planets and actually have stuff on them, too? That's a big one. I don't even care, right? Like, we could have just Crusader for fucking years if they actually built the planets out and put stuff on them. Like, the sandbox is big enough that like if there was stuff to do on these planets instead of just vast empty lots out here, oh yeah, like you could literally introduce player building and housing right on the planets, and you'd still fucking have plenty of space with just Crusader for a long fucking time. So I mean, like that's one of the reasons why like I don't necessarily care that like they're not churning out new planets and systems. I mean, it would be nice to have new planets and systems, because obviously, like, it gets old looking at the same backdrop all the time, especially when the same backdrop is just ugly as hell, which is one of the reasons why, like, I was so excited to see Microtech. But overall, like, you have so much space on these planets to put gameplay that I really wouldn't care if, you know, it was years before we got another system, as long as they were supporting the one we had. Yeah, you know, like, that's kind of one of the weird things, Pazuzu, is like, a couple years back, GameStar, I think it was GameStar, Game Radar, I don't remember, whatever. It was a German publication, right? They did an interview with Chris Roberts, and they misquoted him by saying that Star Citizen was going to have 35 planets at release, or something like that, right? And people lost their shit over that, because they were like, oh no, he got misquoted. That's not what we're still gonna have 100 and some shit, and everybody like defended the crap out of it. And now when you point out how slow CIG is making planets, now the backers are like, oh well, obviously they're only gonna have like maybe 1 or 2 systems at release, and it's like you guys were so venomous about that fucking one article misquoting him by saying 30 some odd systems at release, and now you guys are willing to settle for like, oh well, 3 or 5, maybe 10, and it's like, god damn, man. It's just so weird how they like flip flop on what's acceptable the longer the game's development gets drawn out. The lava flow is kind of cool. Or maybe it's not lava flow. What do you call that? Like, tundra? Tundra, right? Like, it's not really snow biome. I mean, realistically, I think by the time they soft launch into, like, live client, they'll probably have something like 10 systems, and that's being a little bit optimistic. I think that's achievable, and it would be way more than enough real estate to play on, especially if they actually get like gameplay systems like in the game, right? Like stuff to actually do, salvaging, repairing, refueling, more variety in mining, harvesting, farming, anything like that, right? That would be like way more than enough systems. I don't even think like that's a major issue. Like, I know a lot of people think like I have like these unrealistic expectations for Star Citizen, but I would be totally fine to be like, oh yeah, that's more than enough. Like, you don't even need that much space. Even 5 systems, if they're fleshed out, would be more than enough. Hopefully there's systems that are a little more interesting than Pyro. Like, yeah, Pyro looks really pretty with like all the nebulous gas clouds and like the whole system basically being on fire. God damn it. I should have known that was going to happen. Oh, I'm a 30K into a crash. All right, fair enough. Yeah, Grimson. This is PTU. It's for Wave 1 right now, which means concierge or subscribers. There you go, CIG. There's your bug report. I would have a good laugh over that one, Kratos, if Chris was sitting there with like a disconnect button he pushes to fucking kick me. That would be kind of funny. Oh, I can't even submit the error report. All right. Well, I tried. CIG, don't come at me, okay? Yeah, like it. I agree, Dawada. Like, there are a couple things in Star Citizen I will never criticize. One is their concept artist team. Their artists are fucking phenomenal. Like, those guys, they come up with some really fucking cool artwork. The other one is their soundtrack guy, Pedro Camacho. That guy is so under famed. Like, his work is amazing. The soundtrack in Star Citizen after he came on is just fucking phenomenal. And when he does like trailer soundtracks and stuff like that, Pedro's numero uno. Another one is like their ship design team. I don't always agree with how they actually build out the ships, but I think Star Citizen has some of the best looking spaceships in basically any space game I can think of, or even like movies too. Like, those 3 things are like flawless. Oh god, God damn, now what? Oh, I wonder if they shut it down. Please, CIG, no takey PTU. Stand by for technical difficulties. Nope, that's still showing up. Let's exit all the fucking way out. And please hold your dollars are important to us. Oh man, only your new dollars though, not your old ones. We don't care about your old dollars. We already have those. We care about the ones that are still on your credit card or your wallet. Please contact us about those. Those we care about. Yeah, it's definitely frustrating, right, Jason? Like, obviously, I would love for this game to be making progress quicker than it is. But at this point, I feel like, okay, well, I've tossed, what, like 8.5, 9 years at this project so far. At this point, it's like, well, if it ever happens, that'll be really fucking cool. And if it doesn't, then, oh, wow, full wipe. Nice. All right, I'm not even going to bother because fuck it. All right, let's go with Area 18. I'm curious how long it takes to go all the way across. No. Just, God damn it, Cloud Imperium. I bet Board Gamer doesn't have to put up with this shit. Probably has a dedicated instance. I've surprisingly seen a lot of people saying that, Will. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, what if we instead, like, traded off for, like, 4 size 4s or something like that. I'm personally really excited for the size 7. But we'll see. You know, like, I get, like, why people wouldn't want to put all their eggs in that one basket. Like, having only one weapon does have some kind of, like, potential issues. But I'm personally, like, really into it because I like big alpha strike type weapons. Yep, I agree, Scott. That was a major draw for me. As soon as I saw that size 7, I was like, okay, well, I'm finding something I can CCU because I'm definitely gonna rock that thing, unless it's just absolute trash. Which, I mean, as long as the damage is there, like I would love the Hurricane, for instance, right? But my problem with the Hurricane is like a huge part of that ship's damage is tied up to a second person in the turret. If Star Citizen gets to a point where you can slave that and the pilot has control, I would pick up a Hurricane in a fucking heartbeat. But with only being able to control the, what are they, size 4s or size 3s on the chin of the Hurricane as the pilot, I'm like, nope. Nope. I don't think so, fanboys. I don't know what happened with that. Because the flash fire mount or whatever got, ganked, even though people paid money for it. And they talked about like, oh yeah, we're gonna have alternatives for that and blah blah blah, and that was like years ago. It was like at least a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. So I don't know what the deal is with that at this point. So like, man, this is kind of one of those things that I was talking about earlier where like I don't like speculating on ships that we don't know anything about yet, because you could literally like, it could go any different way, right? But if you compare the size 7 M9A to like the Vanguard with a, what do you call it, with an M7A and its nose clusters, the size 7 does like just a little bit more DPS, right? But the thing is, because it's a hull locked weapon, kind of like the Vanguard's MVSAs used to be, it's entirely possible that CIG might make it do a little bit more damage than a normal size 7, because it's an exclusive weapon, you can't take it off the ship, blah 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 blah, right? So I'm really like hesitant to speculate on the damage potential because of that, because we just don't know how it's going to end up. But if you want to take the one resource we do have, which is the M9A, it's the only size 7 that I know of that's in like the database right now that you can like see the full stats on. Let's say the Ares had that weapon, because it's, again, the only size 7 that we can really compare to other weapons. Then the damage potential isn't that high. And you also have to consider it's permanently fixed. There's nothing you can do. You can never switch the Ares into any form of gimbal, right? So on paper, on spreadsheet DPS, the size 7 might be, you know, however much over the combination of like many smaller guns. But the smaller guns can also most likely be gimbal depending on which weapon and which ship and all that stuff. And being able to use gimbal assist is a major DPS pattern. Whereas with fixed, you're almost always going to be missing shots. Whereas with gimbal assist, you have constant DPS being applied, and that's a big deal.
Tram now leaving the station. Stand clear of the doors.
Yeah, I really haven't, like, I don't know what's meta anymore, because I really haven't cared about combat since the flight model rework, unfortunately. And even in 3.4, I think it was 3.4, might have been 3.4, no, it was 3.4. Even in 3.4, when they nerfed the cannons, I was kind of like, okay, well, you guys really just crippled, like, my, like, indisputably preferred weapon type in the game. So I'm going to go ahead and just do other stuff now. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, Failure plays this game all the time, blah, blah, blah. I don't play this game hardly ever, because the only thing that is even remotely appealing to me is flying around on planets for the fun of it, and what do you call it, dropping boxes off. Because I can't get into combat now after cannons were nerfed into the fucking ground. Like, obviously there was a problem with them before the nerf, right? They were way too strong. But the amount that they nerfed them is just, it was so fucking overkill. Yeah, I agree with you, Pazuzu. It's unfortunate, like, the state of combat. And I mean, you know, it's whatever. Like, for me personally, I don't care anymore. I know a lot of people are very bothered by the state of combat. But I've been doing strictly combat and Star Citizen because that was strictly all there was to do for like 3 years now, 3.5 years. So I'm honestly at a point where I'm like, fuck it, I don't care. Let's see. Man, it'd be cool if I had like half of my fucking loner ships on here. Alright. Weird.
Your ship has been delivered to the
For
following
the
landing
latest
pad.
travel information, be sure to check the
I won't throw my hat in on that one, fanboy. I personally like the new Cutlass better, but I'm not a big Cutlass fan, right? Like I don't own any of them, so like realistically, I don't have any right to like weigh in on that. Like I don't want to like be like, oh no, fuck the old one when I really don't care. I guess, right? Because like I'm never gonna buy it. I'm never gonna use a Cutlass, so fair enough. You know. I remembered which hangar it was for once. Cha-ching. Yeah, like old school Arena Commander was a lot of fun, especially back before like the PU existed, and that was all there was to do. Because you know back then CIG paid attention to it. But the combat just in general was more fun back then. Even when the PU finally came about, it was still like enjoyable and tolerable back then. And I just feel like combat has been like slowly sloping downward pretty much for what, 2.5 years now? Something like that. It's just kind of a bummer. I mean, I don't want to throw shade at the mole because personally, I'm glad that they're coming out with like a mid-sized multi-crew mining ship. I feel like obviously we're not getting the Orion anytime soon. Holy shit, what? Restricted area. Oh, it's just warning me that they're there. I was like, what the fuck? I didn't do anything. I'm in the fucking hangar. I'm really happy we're getting the mole because the Prospector, obviously being a single seat miner, it's just kind of boring playing by yourself mining. Personally, I know there are people out there that fucking eat that shit up. They think the Prospector and mining is literally the best gameplay loop in the game. Fair enough. It's not for me, but you know, to each their own. The Orion, we're not getting that anytime soon because, I mean, for one, CIG just isn't even remotely close to finish with that ship. I guarantee it. And also just because of the fucking size of it, I'm sure they, even if they were working on it and finishing it, I'm sure that they would delay releasing it because of just how massive that ship is and like the drain that it would be on the servers. So I'm happy that we're getting a multi-crew, you know, mid-size mining ship because it means like I can go out and do mining and dumb crap with friends. Which means I'm like 100 times more likely to do mining than if it was just doing it by myself. Yeah, that's like a really shitty thing about this project in general, Jason, is how drastically the concepts can change. And you know what, like, full stop, I was fine with that back in the day. Back in the day, it was okay if the concepts changed drastically, because you know what? If a concept changed drastically and you didn't like it anymore, you could melt it and then just wait for a new concept that was more like what you wanted and buy that one and see if that one panned out to be, you know, what you wanted of it. But then CIG was like, oh, well, we're really greedy fuckers, so we're going to start devaluing people's money that we already have because, fuck it, why not? We already have their money. And then, you know, we got war bonds, then the price difference between war bonds and using store credit. They started adding more shit to war bond sales. And then finally the fucking real kicker was when they stripped fucking lifetime insurance out of credit buys. And it's like, man, that's such a fucking shitty thing to do when your concepts change so drastically, so frequently. Like, melting was what made it okay. Melting was like your safety net. Like, okay, this concept might not end up being what I want, But it's okay because I can melt and then buy something else that I'll like more if the concept doesn't pan out. And then they fucking basically took that away. It's so fucking shitty. Yeah, I don't blame you there, Michael. It's super frustrating, right? Like, obviously, so like I don't really own any ships anymore. I basically have like, I float like a certain amount of store credit, and then I buy ships based around like stuff that are coming out in the newer patches, so that I can do review videos on them and stuff like that, right? So like I don't really own anything anymore. But back when I did, it was so frustrating sitting there being like, man, it sure would be really cool if I could fly insert ship that I really, really want and am super excited for, maybe someday. It's super frustrating, especially when you're holding on to concepts that are very fucking old. Like, obviously the Carrack is finally fucking coming to the game in February, hopefully, provided no delays. Hashtag disclaimer. But stuff like the Banu Merchantman, the Orion, the fucking Constellation Taurus, stuff like that, right? It's really frustrating when you've been sitting on these JPEGs for years, like half a decade or more. And instead, CIG is like coming up with new concept sales, and they come into the game before the one you've been holding on to for half a fucking decade. Like, that's a real slap in the face, man. That sucks. That's super fucking depressing. So I can totally relate. Like, I'm at a point now where like I don't actually own anything, so I don't feel like as invested in it as I would have like back in the day. But I can totally understand it because I have been there. Oh yeah, Casey, I don't think that there's no chance in hell. I don't think that they'll stop doing ship sales. I think those are absolutely going to continue from the beginning of Kickstarter to the death of the game. Even if they do a full release, I 100% believe that ship sales are going to continue. Yeah, it would be insane for them to be like, oh, hey, here's millions and millions of dollars. Let's just leave that on the table. We don't care about that. Like, it would be pretty absurd. I don't see any way that they would do that. Shit. Hold on, let me pull out the stopwatch really quick. I'm curious what the timer is for this. Alright. And jump. And start. Alright, ArcCorp to Microtech. Let's see how long this takes. No, not at all. I mean, like, technically yes, Truth Seeker, but like it's so much more dumbed down than it used to be. It's a lot more like Elite Dangerous and like kind of drifting towards like planes in space, especially with how much you drift in this game now. Whereas before, it's definitely like that was one of the things that drew me to Star Citizen versus Elite Dangerous was the way the flight model was. It was very much like Battlestar Galactica. I know some people call it turrets in space or whatever you want to call it, but it was extremely agile, very, very nimble, and they murdered the shit out of it because a lot of people couldn't adjust to it or get good at it. So they complained on the fucking forums, and CIG like gradually murdered that flight model until they completely revamped it. And like the new revamp mode is, it's fucking, it's nowhere near like it used to be. Yeah, I definitely think that they're kind of distracted. And it's one of the big problems when you try to do a game that does everything, right? Where they're like, oh, hey, we want FPS combat, we want this, we want that, mining and fucking poop play, prison mechanics. Like, they're just so all over the place that they have all these ideas and, you know, unfortunately not many of them implemented yet, but they have all these different ideas and game systems and stuff like that, but they don't really do any of them well as a result. You know, it's like the game of jack of all trades. Like, oh, I have many of these things that I can do, but I suck at most of them. Shit. How does it compare to Flight Assist Off in Elite? It's much more drifty than Flight Assist Off in Elite, in my opinion. I feel like in Elite Dangerous, you still have control of your ship fairly well with FA off. It takes a lot. It's like a learning curve. I think it's definitely a learning curve to fly FA off in Elite Dangerous. But once you get the hang of it, you still have a fairly like solid control of your ship that like you can make it do what you want. Whereas in Star Citizen, you don't really have that control. And in order to get the ship to do what you want, it's very easy to overheat your thrusters and then like you just drift. You're like, okay, cool. I didn't want to play the game, I guess. It's really frustrating. I mean, yeah, honestly, Stark, yes. I totally agree with that, Damon. Totally agree with that. Like Star Citizen, the game seems more about like imagining, like a role play universe or something, you know. Oh fuck! I turned off the fucking thing. No, unlock, unlock. Stop. We're here, right? No, we're not here. Resume. Shit. All right, we're gonna be off by like 10 seconds. I mean, it made the drop noise, right? I'm not sober enough to have been paying attention. Oh, it's still not bad though. So let's say 4 minutes and 45 seconds, roughly. That's pretty fucking quick. That's really, really fucking reduced. To do that trip in 4 minutes and 40 seconds is fucking really, really fucking fast compared to 3.7. Holy shit. Excuse me. Yeah, that's really reduced. Damn. All right, we're gonna find green. We're gonna find green. I don't know about that, fanboy, because I don't use HOTAS ever. I either fly mouse and keyboard, or I fly left stick, right mouse, so I can't say. Man, I really wish that there were more POIs on the planet itself instead of just New Babbage. Alright, let's try for this one and see if that's more than just snowy shit. I don't know if I agree that the Ares doesn't have use. It'll depend on how competent it is at engaging other fighters. And honestly, even capital ships, like, yeah, we don't have like combat capitals yet, but the 890 jump is basically like playing Star Citizen in God mode. I've never had somebody kill me in the 890 jump. It's like most people can't do it. So I mean, in that respect, like, it is good to have something that's capital killer. I mean, you also have to take the brochure for the Ares with a grain of salt, because like they call all of those brochures are always incredibly overly promising. So we'll see if that actually pans out. But I get where you're coming from, right? Like, the vast majority of ships that are flyable in Star Citizen right now don't actually have their supporting game mechanics in. Only the combat ships really do. The Prospector, and I guess you could argue some of the cargo haulers kind of do. But even then, I don't even think that like cargo hauling really doesn't feel like it's properly implemented yet. But anything that's exploration, anything that's like data running, racing isn't really a thing, but kind of is. I totally agree. That are like, these ships are in game, but like half of their shit doesn't actually like work inside of them because like their mechanics aren't in, like the Reclaimer with salvaging and stuff like that. It's definitely super, super frustrating. So I do get where you're coming from, though. I just don't know if I agree on the Ares. I feel like the Ares, that ship is absolutely capable of hitting the servers and like just hitting the ground running, right? Like, there's plenty of stuff that you can do with the Ares. It's hit or miss. It's hit or miss. Cargo running now, if you have a ship that can. Wiser. Thank you so much, man. Give me 1 second. Let me pull up the stream thing so I can actually spout off your rhetoric here. Merry Christmas, Billy. I hope this makes you smile. King Conqueror when I gave him a spare 1080 GTX. How come he got a 1080 and I got 30? Wow, man. I thought you loved me, Wiser. No, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. I hope you have a Merry Christmas. I hope you guys all have a great holiday, man. Hopefully we get a decent patch before the holidays so we can all kind of have a Merry Christmas. Shit, now I don't remember what I was saying. Fuck. Oh yeah, I definitely remember that moment, Damon. That was 3.0 for me. I was so hyped for that fucking patch, especially because we were waiting forever for it. It got delayed an extra year, and then it landed, and it was just such a fucking mess. And it was like, what the fuck? That was when I started questioning everything that CIG said. 3.0 was like the wake up pill for me. Shit. Oh, now I remember what I was saying. If you have a decent... Oh my god, no, why? If you have a decent cargo ship, you can actually make pretty decent credits really fucking fast. Like, it's a snowball effect, right? Like, if you're starting off with a very small amount of UEC, for me personally, I'm kind of cheating the system because every patch I start off with like 125k. So it's really easy for me to snowball my bank account in Star Citizen very, very quickly, especially because I'm also like, I'm not stuck with an Aurora or a Titan Avenger or something like that, or an Avenger Titan. I always have some loaner that's a pretty decent sized cargo hold. So it's very, very easy for me to snowball my credits until I'm like making retard money. But that's the thing. If you have something like a Freelancer Max, it even isn't that expensive, but it's at least a decent cargo capacity. Ideally, a Caterpillar is the way you want to go. But yeah, you just keep doing those cargo runs and then reinvest in it. you know, obviously you're taking your life in your hands by doing so, because you never know with a server 30Ks or a client crash or something like that where you could lose everything. But if you don't reinvest everything, you know, if you want to be playing it safe, and just reinvesting enough that like you can afford to lose to a crash or something like that, you can make credits fairly fucking quick in Star Citizen right now. It's not as fun as old school drug running, for sure. I think old school drug running, like in 3.3, was peak Star Citizen for me. Like, it wasn't the best flight model, combat wasn't the best, but like that's when the PU was, in my opinion, at its peak. It was so much fun because like there was only one funnel, right? Everybody went to Jump Town. So that meant you could log on to any server and something was happening at Jump Town. You were guaranteed gameplay at Jump Town. I thought that was like one of the funnest things ever. All right, let me fill this fucking thing out really quick. Let's see if this report actually goes through. The report server is dead too. Actually, still have the DCB even though the free fly event is over. Oh, nice. The bug went through, or the submission went through. DCB. Oh shit! Yeah, good call, Pazuzu. Actually, what I meant to say was making credits in Star Citizen is incredibly frustrating and impossible. The grind is terrible. CIG, if you hear this, please don't nerf cargo any more than you already have. Please. My only point was that making credits in Star Citizen is much easier than it used to be. I feel like it's in a decent spot, right? Because you can't balance the game based around whales, right? It's not fair to people who aren't whales. Oh, the cutlass. Okay. No, you shouldn't have it still. I don't think. Because yeah, the free fly event's like super over. That's weird. That's really weird. I mean, good for you though, right? Free ship. Especially if you don't have a whole lot of other ones. That's a pretty big win. I've watched I think the first 3 episodes of The Mandalorian. I only recently got Disney Plus. I didn't want to get it until like there was a decent handful of episodes for me to watch, right? Because it really bugs me that they're trickling them out weekly instead of just letting me binge watch it. So I was like, no, fuck you, Disney. I'm not gonna fucking like. It's literally the only show I actually want to watch on Disney Plus. So I'm like, no, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait for sure. Yeah, the Cutlass is definitely. I think the Cutlass needs to be a little bit more armored. It definitely pops way too quick. It's really frustrating. Like, I feel bad killing Cutlasses. I usually try to avoid them unless they come after me, like they chase me down or something like that. Because I feel bad blowing them up because it's just so fucking easy to kill a Cutlass. They should definitely be a little bit stronger. Would I recommend a 325A? For a starter ship, the 325A isn't terrible. I think it's 6 SCU of cargo. I don't remember. I think it's 6, 8, 12. I think the 300 is 8 SCU. The 315 is 12. And I'm pretty sure the 325A is 6. So it's a decent amount of cargo, so you can still like haul some of the more like, I mean, you're not going to be getting rich, right? But you can haul some of the rare materials. And as a fighter, it's not terrible. it's obviously not going to be competing with a Super Hornet or anything like that, right? But if you're, especially if you're doing PVE, I think the 325 Abe is a great starter tier ship for sure. Plus the customization is really cool. It's nice being able to, I wish that they would roll that system out for more ships in the near future, because it's super nice being able to like make a ship kind of like your own. And I love that about the 325A. Yeah, I agree. I agree, Chad. Like, unless you want to do combat stuff, then I would say either the 300 or the 325. That way you have the nose mount. Because I don't think you can... I'm pretty sure you can't get rid of the tractor beam on the 315, which is literally useless in current Star Citizen. So yeah, you do have the 12 SCU, but your weaponry is basically pointless. Let's grab some dish shit real
What you
quick.
wear says a lot about who you are. With more options and more brands to choose from, Cassava Outlet is the best place to locate.
Honestly, any of the 300 series are solid choices. I think they're all really good for their tier, right? That's a big caveat disclaimer for their tier, and the price. The price especially is really good.
The hottest clothes and trendiest accessories from across the empire brought straight to you. Hunt for your latest fashion find at Cassava
Gotta have a
Outlet,
knife
where
now,
you get
now
more
that we can
clothes for
shank
your
people.
friends.
Meet me outside. How about that, move speed? Fucking gonna knife your ass. Nope, nope, nope. God damn you, you
With so
fucking
many
game.
options,
Yeah.
there's always something waiting for you at Cassava Outlet. From your
Oh,
next
that's not
favorite
what I
shirt
wanted.
to the jacket
It's
you
under
need to
attachment.
have,
I'm
Cassava
done.
Outlet has everything you want to wear.
Alright, that's good. Was it only 100K? I didn't even look. I enjoyed Rogue One. Rogue One felt at least in the same vein as old Star Wars movies. I don't think it was like Empire, but it was like a movie where I would watch it and be like, okay, yeah, this is Star Wars.
City Fight reminds you that when trash goes in the bin, we all win. Your help, Tram now leaving the station. Stand clear of the doors.
Shit, my bad. Trying to catch back up. Honestly, Supa, I don't feel like the weather effects needed to be now at all. I feel like it's something that's kind of like, oh, hey, here's something neat that we're doing. I definitely don't think that like it needed to be now at all, for sure. It's one of those things, right? Like I think a lot of the things that they're adding to me feel like fluff. I'm not saying that they're bad, but they feel like fluff. They definitely weren't needed now. It feels more like, oh hey, here's weather effects, here's FPS mining, here's caves. Don't pay attention to the fact that like core gameplay loops like salvaging and repairing, those have disappeared. So yeah, like, I don't think the weather effects, especially since like, at least in 3.8, they don't actually even affect your temperature or anything like that. So like, the survival element isn't even there. It's literally eye candy in its current form. It definitely feels like another one of those things where CIG is putting the horse or the wagon before the horse. But let me out. Yeah, I agree. Like, and it just feels like there's a lot of other shit that they could have been working on. All right, well, that's gonna be not using that. Let's go with the freelancer. I think. Oh no, actually, the Starfarer would have been the next quickest one. But there's no way we could fly that around the planet, though. Yeah, I'll give you that. It definitely feels more applicable than FOIP. I mean, I know there's some weirdos who are really into FOIP. But yeah, for sure. I would much, if I had to pick between the two, I would much rather have weather effects than fucking FOIP in a heartbeat. Now, people that are RPing massive fucking air quotes on like their 600 eyes bedroom. Fuck, I didn't look at what hangar it was. God damn it. It's like a chronic disease for me. I'm so bad with pulling vehicles and not looking hangar 2. Okay. FOIP is face over IP. So essentially, if you have a webcam and you turn your webcam on, Star Citizen will track your facial movements and your character will do them. So like, right now, I don't have FOIP on, right? Like, I don't even know if my webcam's hooked up right now. And even if it is, I wouldn't turn it on because that would mean I'd have to turn a light on. But if I had FOIP on, right, my character would be moving his mouth while I'm talking to you right now. And also any facial expressions I make, like my mouth moving, eyebrows, stuff like that. That's face over IP. The only like thing that I would say FOIP is actually kind of useful for would be the head tracking, so that like you can move your head with your webcam if you don't have something like Track IR, which I feel like most flight sim fans probably have. Like I've got one in my basement I never use anymore because I don't really play a whole lot of games that need it, because most of them that have Track IR capability also have VR. So I'm like, oh well, you're now useless, Mr. Track IR. So yeah, outside of like roleplay players, I don't think like most people really cared about FOIP. Like it's kind of neat, I guess, but it doesn't really add anything. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think like it's a bad thing to add, because I'm sure there are people who want it, right? And especially for anybody who does like, I don't ever think I've had a front load hangar before in a freelancer. That's different. People who want to do like fan made movies and stuff like that, I'm sure they definitely appreciate FOIP. Role players, stuff like that. So like, it's obviously not my cup of tea, but that doesn't mean that like nobody out there. Ooh. Whoa, hey, easy there. What the fuck is up with that? Thing be driving weird.
Thank you, and please visit again.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Hey. Trying to climb. Stop. Bad game. The flying dildo. Yeah, absolutely. Intercoming, like it's just not practical, right? To like FOIP isn't something that like I don't think it shouldn't be in the game, but like right now I don't think it needed to be in the game, and the fact that like they were expecting people to use it, like I don't even know if I believe that. I feel like it was more of a, oh hey, this is a new partnership with this company, let's fucking add face over IP to the game to help them sell their camera. Like that's what it felt more like. Yeah, and even voice over IP, right? Like, I don't actually. I could see the use for in-game local voice chat, right? Like if you're rolling up on somebody and you want to be like, "Hey, I'm not gonna fucking kill you," you might be able to avoid a conflict by being able to say that quickly, versus trying to type it out. Somebody might be like, "Oh fuck, another player, kill him." Blah. So I could kind of see voice over IP being useful, I guess, right? But like basically only that scenario. Like nobody is going to use in-game voice for doing like organized stuff, or especially not like organization battle type shit, right? Like people are going to use Discord or Mumble or TeamSpeak, whatever. Yeah, I'm kind of mixed on that, Wiser. Like, I agree that sucks, right? Because I love the Star Runner. I think the Star Runner is such an awesome ship, especially if the Star Runner doesn't get nerfed, right, with its cargo capacity. Holy shit. What it was slotted to have, I think it's 96. That's amazing for that ship. And it just looks cool as shit. But at the same time, I could see that them being like, oh, hey, we need to come up with a styling guide for Crusader. Let's make a fighter really quick. It'll be kind of smaller. It gives us a chance to flesh out assets that we can, share across other ships and stuff like that. And I'm hoping that that will mean an expedited Star Runner shortly after the Ares. Who knows? But honestly, I'm just happy that there are two Crusader ships like actively being worked on, right? Well, I don't know if they've actively started working on the Hercules, but by end of year 2020, it's supposed to be out. So at least soon, if nothing else. I'm just happy that there are two Crusader ships finally getting worked on. Ooh, man, that's a tough one. Damage. I would say, what do you want to do with it, right? Because realistically, the Carrack is a much more well-rounded ship for the PTU, or not the PTU, but the Persistent Universe versus the Reclaimer, especially because salvaging isn't slotted until like late 2020, and God only knows if it's going to get delayed again. So that would be my big hesitation on the Reclaimer. But if you want to do salvage gameplay, then obviously you should hold on to that Reclaimer. There is not currently a Crusader starter ship, no. Crusader's ship lineup starts with the $200 Ares, which is a heavy fighter, or 195 or whatever. I'm kind of like splitting the difference. 195 for Warbond and 220, I believe it is, for credit. So you have the Ares, you have the Mercury Star Runner, which is a data runner / cargo runner. Really, really well-rounded ship. And then you have the Genesis Starliner, which is a people-person transport thingy. It's basically a fucking 747, right, of Star Citizen. And then you have the Hercules, which are big-ass cargo lifters. And that's the summary of Crusaders lineup currently. Hopefully it gets expanded more, because I really, really love their design styling. All right, round 2. Let's set the timer for this one. So the Vanguard was from Area 18 to Microtech in 4 minutes and 45 seconds, roughly. Be interested to see what the Freelancer does it in. Yeah, right, Melody? Crusader Master Races, but oh, for sure, Potato. Like, I would have been so fucking happy if oh, it's up. I'm retarded. If the Crusader had an interior and like the amenities of a Vanguard, I would never ever look at the Vanguard again. Not gonna lie. We pull out the stopwatch. Boop, 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 boop. Reset. And and start. Alright, let's see how long this takes. Oh man, I cannot imagine, dude. If there were, I feel stupid saying it because like it seems so absurd to even consider. But if there, not reclaimer, if the Redeemer shows up in game before the Taurus, dude, I would be so fucking mad if I owned a Taurus. I would be so pissed. But I guess maybe they aren't technically pissed because they are getting like a ship that's almost $100 higher cost as a loaner. So that's not a bad deal, right? Oh, Hoskins, that would be so nice if it actually told you like how long, or at least even an estimate that was like relatively close. That'd be really, really, really convenient. I don't think I've ever really watched a whole lot of Rally at S-Tech besides random like short clips on YouTube and stuff. Like what do you call it? That the one where the dude's like yelling at what's his name, Samir or Amir the whole fucking time. That was such a good one. There's some like quick snippets on the video I posted. What? How long have I been streaming? An hour 40. So about 2 hours ago, I posted like my thoughts on the Ares, and there's like some really small snippets from the forums. But maybe someday I'll do like a compilation of like absurd dumb shit Concierge says. There's a couple different threads. Always wipe of people like crying about the Ares because basically they're like, oh, it's gonna kill all the capital ships. It's not fair. What about my capital ships? There's basically a ton of people knee-jerking over the Ares, even though we know like basically next to nothing about the Ares. Like, I mean, we have like some basic stats of like its component sizes and shit like that, but we really don't like know nearly enough about the ship for people to be crying for nerfs already. And one real smart guy basically saying CIG should stop the sale of the Ares, refund people, and rethink it because it's too powerful. Like, it's not even in game yet, motherfuckers. Let's slow down with all this. It's so powerful. Like, goddamn. Yeah, I mean, like, I think it's absurd. It's fucking absurd for people to act like a single Ares is gonna go running around murking all the fucking Idrises and Polarises and shit, right? Like, it's not gonna happen. That's not, no. Like, Cloud Imperium would never do that. But these people are literally acting like one guy who spends $200 is gonna go YOLO fucking teabag every fucking Idris in the game. And it's like, what? You guys are so fucking hypersensitive anytime you even, like, perceive something that could be a threat to your fucking capitals. It's so fucking dumb. Oh, for sure. I'm sure it's going to be... The Ares will be the bane of, like, the constellation's existence. Like, that... If you own a Connie, you might as well fucking, like, melt that bitch. Because I'm sure the Ares is going to fucking just... Oh, words that would get me kicked off of YouTube to the Connie. Like, hard R-A sounds like grape word, the Connies. So, have fun if you're in a Connie or, like, anything big enough for the fucking Ares to, like, easily pop with that size 7. Connie, Cutlass, Freelancer, maybe a Caterpillar. I don't know, we'll have to see on the cat. I'm kind of mixed on that one. I'm sure a solo Ares is gonna just fucking shit on those ships. David, dear RSI, paper is OP, signed Rock. That is 100% what it's like, man. 100% what it's like. It's so weird. It's so weird to me, like, seeing people, like, cry and moan and stuff about that shit. Well, and that's the thing too, Steve, right? Like, I'm totally not going to take credit for this. It was something I read in one of those threads that was, like, screaming that the Ares was the end of the world for all capital ship owners. But, you know, like, someone was like, you guys are constantly telling people who are, like, hauling cargo, like, oh, well, if you don't want to get blown up, then maybe you should hire fighter escorts. And this dude was like, well, if you don't want your Idris to get blown up, maybe you should hire fighter escorts to deal with the fucking Ares. Like, there you fucking go. How does it fucking taste when the shit gets fucking turned around on you? The only capital ship currently in game is the 890 Jump. And it's not a... I mean, it is a capital ship, right? But it's not a combat-focused capital ship. So there's a lot of speculation about how strong stuff like the Polaris Freelancer, goddamn, I'm like reading chat. How strong stuff like the Polaris, Idris, especially the fucking Javelin, Kraken will be. So I think it's fair to be like, hey, we need shit that can crack these open. And I don't think any sane, reasonable person thinks that one Ares is going to fucking just murder all of them. That's ridiculous. Ooh, I don't know. NS Tech. Like, it would be really cool if they did actually implement depressurization and stuff, right? Like, that would be really fucking fun for damage. But their ship interiors are in such a kind of, like, mess in terms of, like, doors shutting and opening. And, like, you would need to be able to independently control doors, like, to keep them shut and stuff like that. And you aren't really there yet. So I don't know. Probably not anytime soon, which is weird because like I don't know if it still does it, but back in the day, this is probably like 3.3, 3.4. If you shot off a turret from like a constellation or a vanguard, you would see the loss of atmosphere, right? Like it would show the air blowing out, like it was getting depressurized. So it's kind of a bummer because it's like, oh, like the art was there. I don't think the game mechanic is there, but the art was. So the Ares is about the same dimensions as a Cutlass. The only difference is it's not as tall. So it's actually shorter sitting than the Cutlass, but it's as wide as and as long. So, well, that stuff spawning on you is kind of concerning. I'm glad I didn't need to dodge that because I wasn't paying attention at all. Would have been fun. I would love to know that too, Super Sneak. It is so irritating that like there's always like this smoke and fog going on inside your ship. Like why would that be happening? Please explain that, CIG. It's weird. It's weird and it's annoying. I would not be surprised at all if they go that route, Casey. I mean, it's just one of those things, you know, where like games that rely on you constantly coming back to microtransactions, they need to find a way to make you keep coming back to them. And power creeping is basically like the go-to for that. Like Planetside 2 is a really perfect example of that, and the way a developer will be super shitty about power creep. For anybody who hasn't played it, you start out with like basic classes, and each class has like a basic weapon that like you can use or whatever. Or you could go onto their real money transaction store and buy like weapons that they would release, and those weapons would always be incredibly overpowered, very strong. And basically, if you didn't buy it, you were getting fucked. And then right as they would get ready to drop a competing weapon, they would nerf that weapon and then release the new one. And it was like, oh, well, this is the new overpowered gun. Make sure you go and buy that. So yeah, I mean, it's historically a huge problem in the gaming industry. Yeah, bot hand. It was that. I really regret my time with Planetside 2. I'll leave it at that. I really regret my time with that game. It was not worth it. Whoa, Hoskins, okay? I haven't even turned on my webcam yet. Just wait. I'm gonna go change into my workout fucking yoga pants and my tight fucking sports bra. Get that webcam on. Maybe put up a fucking little text thing that has my Snapchat in it. Just fucking wait, Hoskins. The good shit's coming. No, not even. No, no way. No way. Escape. Fuck no. Fuck no. No way. That will definitely not fucking happen. No way. Do you think this game will release a beta version like basic platform of what we expect to see somewhere in the distant future before 2020? No fucking way. 2020 is literally a month away. I'm gonna just assume that you meant 2021, right? Not even then. Not even by the next time. This time next year. No. Star Citizen, the PU, not Squadron 42, has at least fucking, I would say, 5 years before they can like start calling it beta. I'm skeptical about like 2020 being beta or alpha or whatever they want to call it for Squadron 42, much less the PU, which is going to be infinitely more complex and have a lot more going on in it. I would say 2025 is probably like, I feel like 2025 is optimistic for a beta. I mean, people might call that negative, but that, I mean, I would say that's realistic at least. Sooner than that would be mind blown, shockingly surprised. I don't see it happening before 2025 at the soonest. No, you're good. You're good, man. No big escape. Yeah, Squadron 42's had a a very storied history, and that's why like a lot of us are like, okay, Chris, 2020, huh? All right, bud, we're starting to feel a little bit like deja vu here. I don't know. Answer the call 2015. Answer the call 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. For sure 2020 though this time, right, Chris? Yeah, okay, buddy. And especially at the pace the roadmap is going, I'm very skeptical that we're going to see Squadron 42 in 2020. Yeah, I might be wrong on the 2015. I'm a little bit inebriated, so I can't say for certain. I don't remember if 2015 was supposed to have been a release date. I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was. But I definitely have Answer the Call 2016 banners screen saved somewhere on the computer. So for sure, it is tentatively supposed to have been released by 2016 and every year after that. So at least 4 years running. Oh yeah, for sure, Allison. Definitely not. Definitely not. Like that, like even trying not to be a shitty person and like, I don't know, laughing at people who are, I can only assume, challenged. When I see backers talking like, oh, the haters just wait until 2021 when the game releases, and I'm like, oh boy, man, yeah, 2021 for sure, that's gonna happen. Yeah, correct, Jamal. It is split up into different parts. So like, yeah, oh my god, I can't get near this fucking planet. I can't go to microtech. Why? Why? Ugh. All right, CIG, don't say I never gave you nothing. I'm actually bothering to fill these fucking reports out, so. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens since they took on that third party third party money. But I don't think they had a choice, right? A lot of people want to be like, "Oh man, Star Citizen's doing great. They made so many millions this month and so many millions that month," but like they're running it really fucking close on, staying above the break even point. Um, and if this is the pace that we get content with the amount of employees that he has now, he has to keep that up, right? There's no way he can afford to have to downsize the studios because then the game is coming like fucking 2030. All right. One day we're going to make it. Yeah, the whole like Sandy stuff is super frustrating, right? Like she's very clearly not acting like a full-time employee, much less a fucking head of the company. Like she's very clearly using her paycheck to go chase her Hollywood dreams. Oh yeah, hell yeah. Fucking axe that whole department, Escape, for sure. Like the fact that he's wasting money having somebody develop languages for all the alien races is just like why? Uh, I'm mixed on that, Thurgood. Um, I agree that like, hey, if they manage to release a good game, then it kind of takes a lot of like, it makes a lot of the dumb shit that they've done feel a little less like impactful. But at the same time, I think it's super shitty to be collecting like a board of directors and like head of fucking marketing. Like God only knows which. Okay, if I could not suffocate while respawning, that would be cool. It's super shitty to take money out of the project that I'm sure she's making. I'm sure she's making quality fucking income just because she's Chris's wife, and then basically having like a passive role in the fucking development of the game. Like you're busy off trying to get auditions and shit like that, and like chasing an acting career instead of doing what you're being paid for. I think that's super shitty. All right, place your bets. I bet we make it to Microtech this time. Son of a bitch, I forgot to stop the stopwatch too. I think it was like 8 minutes and 30 seconds for the freelancer. Oh, for sure, Potato. They absolutely should be, right? Like, I understand it's not a public company, but like when you're running a project that's entirely based on public funding, then yeah, like I feel like the backers are absolutely entitled to know who is getting, what for an executive salary. Yes, Gabriel. I am playing in ultra wide, but I have OBS downscaling it to 1920. One of the things I've learned since getting a 32:9 aspect ratio monitor is that almost nobody has them. So if I stream in my native aspect, even people with like traditionally ultra wide monitors are like, your aspect ratio is fucked. And I mean, it's fine if you're on a 32:9, but if you're not on a 32:9, it looks fucked up for you. So the best way to do it was just to make it 1920. No, the game is definitely not coming out next year, MJ.
Now arriving.
Oh, I hate you, Hoskins. Yep. I need to switch this so I can actually fucking read chat. No. I definitely, I have very low expectations for Squadron 42.
Your ship
I
is
think...
delivered to
For
the
the
following
latest travel
landing pad.
information, be sure to check
Hold on,
the
I gotta pay attention to
and
this
the
or I won't
log
remember which hangar you're for. Okay.
space
I don't think Chris Roberts is that good of a storyteller. I think like he has this one cliche niche that he sticks to, right? Like, oh, the invading bad guys, blah blah blah. Humanity, we're stuck up against the thing.
be in good company.
Um, and that's like it's just a played out trope that, and he does it in every single thing that he makes, right? Like he hasn't shown any originality since Wing Commander. Like, what would you describe it to? It's like somebody who like finds the one thing that they're good at, and they're like, oh, I have to fucking beat this horse to death. And that's basically what he does with it, right? And I think it's just not, it's not as catchy as it was back in the early 90s, right? Like, people are kind of over that. Do something original, do something new. But, like, every single sci-fi thing that he does is, oh, hey, here comes the big bad aliens, and they're gonna wipe out humanity, and humanity's gonna fight back against steeped odds. Urgh. So it's kind of like, I don't expect to be wowed by Squadron 42 story. And like stuff that I've heard from guys over at CIG kind of line up with the same mentality. They're like, enjoy that story. So I'm definitely not like feeling carried away over the story yet, at least. We'll see. And I also like, I really suspect that a lot of Squadron 42 is going to feel much more like you're playing your way through a cinematic than you are a single player game. Which, in some of Chris's more recent games, that's kind of what he does, you know? Oh my god, I can't even type. God. Why? I was going straight up. Ah! Motherfuck. Ah. Fucking God. Cool. Cool. You're welcome, Patrick. I don't even feel bad plugging that show. The Boys is such a fucking good show, man. And season 2 is evidently like in the works. Like they're already like quite a ways into filming. Which can't come out soon enough, man. I really love that show. Like, I think the big thing for me was I was just really kind of I was just sick of superhero shit, you know, like Marvel has just clogged the fuck out of like movies for what, like the better part of a decade now, right? So The Boys was just like so refreshing because it was such a like dark take on superheroes. God, that show's good.
From a night in town to that big day making deals, Kasaba Outlet.
Yeah, what the fuck, Allison? You can watch The Boys on Amazon. It's an Amazon original. So if you have Amazon Prime, I think you have to have Amazon Prime to watch Prime Video, right? But yeah, it's an Amazon original. I don't know if it's out there on other less reputable sites, but definitely, if you haven't watched The Boys and you even remotely like superhero movies, go watch The Boys. It's a very, very dark, like, comedy parody of superheroes. I don't know if it's a parody, but it's definitely, I mean, I guess you'd kind of call it a parody, right? Like, there are some pretty direct ties between, like, or comparisons between, like, The Boys superheroes versus, like, DC and Marvel superheroes, so, but yeah, it's such a fucking good show, man. It's so good. Man, I don't think that's fair. Personally, Will. I think the last season of Man in the High Castle was really good. I think the way they tied the show up was fucking terrible. Like, the ending was just trash. It was such a bad fucking ending. It was dumb. It didn't make sense. It was like out of left field. It just fucking, I didn't think it was good. I thought it was really bad. Personally, my own opinion. But yeah, The Man in the High Castle was amazing. That was such a good fucking show. I'm so sad that they ended it, because I would like to think that the finale for that show was so bad because, like, they were trying to rush it to some kind of conclusion, and like maybe they were expecting to get more seasons out of it. But yeah, it was just super sad. I'm bummed that the show ended because I love Man in the High Castle. It was really cool. Alright, we don't got that no more. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. Alright, let's take the fucking Gemini then. Fuck it.
Has been delivered to the following landing pad.
Yeah. Oh, for sure, Arizona. Like, that dude nails Homelander. Like, he does such a fucking good job with that character, man. Holy crap. I literally binged the whole show straight. Like, somebody, I don't remember who recommended it. It was somebody from the channel, for sure. I remember seeing it and being like, oh, superheroes, fucking pass. And somebody in the channel was like, dude, you need to watch The Boys. Like, go watch The Boys. And, you know, one of these days I was, like, laying in bed, and I was like, well, I've watched fucking Brickleberry fucking 83 times. I've watched fucking every episode of Rick and Morty, like, 20 more than that. What the fuck am I going to watch tonight? And I was like, oh, you know what? Fuck it. Let's try The Boys. Somebody said it was good, and if it ends up being absolutely terrible, then I'll just double back and fucking talk shit. And yeah, I watched it, and it was fucking amazing. It's such a good show. They're actually all loners, except for the Vanguard archer. I kind of mentioned this earlier, so I don't know if it's sarcasm and you were here for it earlier, but I don't really own anything anymore. I have like a pool of store credit that I float around for, like, I'll rearrange my hanger anytime a new patch like starts shaping up, so that like I know what's coming in the next patch, so that I have the ships that are being released, so I can kind of like cover whatever's coming out. So I don't like have really any kind of attachment to any ships anymore like I used to when I was like really big into backing the game. So like this Gemini's a loner for a fucking Hercules, right? The, what do you call it? The Freelancer and the Herald are a loner for the Star Runner. I don't think there's anything in my hangar that are for the Ares right now, which is weird. But yeah, the Aquila is for the Carrack because that's coming in February. Whenever the Mole comes, I'm going to grab that on store credit. So we can cover that, and plus I want to do drunk mining with people. But yeah, I basically just structure my hangar around like whatever's coming out, because that's basically when I play Star Citizen, it's to cover patches, right? So it makes sense for me, at least. I swear to God, Area 18, if you fucking randomly blow me up again, we're gonna fucking fight.
You are clear to launch.
Oh yeah, I mean, in my opinion, all Crusader ships are sexy. The Genesis is kind of weird. Genesis doesn't really fit like the styling of all of the other ones, but that's okay. I'll still love you, Genesis. All right. Man, fuck! I always forget the trade answers. What? What? What the fuck? This is hangar 7, right? Alright, hold on. Just gotta save the screenshot so I can report this shit later. Alright. If I swear to fucking God, if I go to take off and this isn't just like a visual bug and there's actually part of Area 18 inside of this fucking hangar and my Starfarer goes fucking all and fucking blows up, I'm gonna be really mad. I'm actually in it. I can't fucking like get off the pad. Nope, we're good. Alright. Whew. Close call, guys. Close call. How is there restricted area above? Like...
Thank you, and please visit again.
Alright, we're out. We're away, right? We're good. Gucci. Phew. Alright, boys. We survived the fucking landing zone. You said preemptively and then blew up. Yeah, surviving the bugs is the real meta in Star Citizen. Oh man. Don't say that, Archer. I'm so glad it's not as drastic as it used to be, right? Like when you were in the Reclaimer and the Starfarer and you literally had to like fly vertically, like while being level. You know what I mean? Like use your vertical thrusters in order to leave atmosphere on like Hurston. That was peak AIDS. So like the server side OCS is going to be more for the server's performance than your own, I think. I did buy a knife, Hoskins. I got one so that like the first thing I do when Moospeed finally gets his peasant access to the PTU, I'm going to knife him right in the fucking face. Right away. But yeah, I don't think that we're going to see as much of a frame rate difference, because this is basically what I get in 3.7 as well. I think it's supposed to be more for the server's performance. So hopefully, like, it's not... Well, obviously it is tonight, but hopefully in the future, it's not 30K'ing and, like, the servers aren't, like, hiccuping up and shit as much because they won't be loading everything all at once. Yeah, if you can do like knife murder takedowns on people anywhere you want, I promise the first time I'm streaming with Moospeed, he's gonna fucking quit, because I'm gonna literally just knife him over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Because like I've got some hardcore payback for that dude. Some hardcore payback for all the times he's killed me. And I mean, not his fault, right? Like, it was totally the game bugging out, but he still bumped into me, so he's gotta fucking die. Knife him and take his dog tags. Yes, Kratos. So, 3.8 has the first iteration of server-side OCS. It's hard to say if it's, working better or not, because I get the server 30K and the crash pretty much any time before I can even do anything anyways. So it's really hard to tell if it's making much of a difference. Alright, so here's our genius plan. We're gonna fly to the fucking rest stop, land there so that it saves our respawn at the rest stop. That way, when the server dies, when we approach Microtech, we'll be starting from the rest stop, orbiting Microtech, and hopefully that means the next iteration we'll be able to actually get to Microtech. Fucking, the gears are always spinning in this guy's head. Watch out. Alright. At least this one should be super quick with it being a Starfarer. Yeah, gas. The servers are definitely crashing. I'm getting a lot of 30Ks. No, why would you fucking say that, Fiasco? That's fucking terrible. I'm trying to make the best of a bad situation, okay? And you're gonna go and jinx it up like that. It's super low blow. So the big thing, Casey, is that like this is a This is Wave 1 PTU. It's almost always a fucking clusterfuck in terms of like server crashes and shit like that. Like they fix a bunch of shit when it's in Evocati closed testing, but it's almost always still a mess by the time it comes to Wave 1. A lot of people are like, oh man, I'm concierge. I want the PTU to be flawless by the time I get to it. And it's never that way. It's never. I can't think of a single patch that was really good on Wave 1. In a couple days, it'll probably be a lot more stable. Hopefully. Yeah, Star Citizen is fucking terribly infamous for its glare and bloom on windows and its reflections. It honestly almost makes all the windows fucking useless. It's so weird too because like they're atrocious, right? Like everybody, I don't know anybody that defends Windows in this game, right? But CIG and Chris just refuse to fucking fix it. It's so strange to me. Like, and this isn't even bad. I wish I had the Retaliator loaner on, what do you call it? On here. For some reason, I don't have it on 3.8 on the PTU server, but I have it on 3.7, and the glare on there is just... The Retaliator's cockpit is so fucking bad. Kitty, no, I'll feed you in a minute. The glare comes from the inside of your cockpit because for whatever reason you need to have just tons of lighting inside your fucking cockpit in the black of space because, you know, that helps you fly, you know, having more light coming from inside of your cockpit than your background that you're looking out into. You know, it's like when you're driving a car and you turn on every fucking light inside the interior of your car and then you try driving with your lights off. Have fucking fun doing that. That'll be really fun. Like, if you're going to put lights in cockpits of ships, there should absolutely be, like, some kind of toggle to turn them off so you can actually see out. And then you wouldn't have the fucking intensely terrible fucking glare. I mean, you'll get glare off of, what do you call it, the sun? But I don't think that's what's hitting this right now. Crouch, you fucking fiend. Where is old bright orange ball? Yeah, I don't think it's the sun. I think it's all from interior. Nope. Unfortunately, none of the ships have an interior lighting switch. It is always on, which is incredibly fucking frustrating. Yep, pretty much, Stark. Pretty much, man. What do you want, butthead? I told you I'll feed you in a minute, you fatty. Kitty, 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 kitty. What? You wanted my attention? Now I'm gonna hold you. Like a little fucking fat kitty baby. No, you're not going anywhere. You wanted this. You wanted this. You're my prisoner. Stop struggling. Alright, GTFO. Go. Alright. Yep. Alright, we're so close. Server, don't kick me. Don't kick me, baby. We just need to make it to the hangar and then we're semi-safe. Getting landing camera format. Remember pets in game? I ate them all. Alright. We're good. Nope. Not in range. Oh god, I forgot how much effort goes into stopping a fucking Starfarer. Come on! Easy boy, come on. There's some quality glare for you.
Please proceed to assigned landing bay. Landing complete. Have a pleasant stay. Your ship has been delivered to the following landing pad. Thank you, and please visit again.
All right, guys, we're gonna make it. We're good. Can't stop us now, right? Right, guys? Don't say that, Archer. Don't you fucking say it. Alright. Go for this patch. Pray to God it's not Tundra, even though it looks like it would realistically be Tundra. We're gonna be optimistic. We're all very optimistic, right? This is a channel full of optimistic people, so I know we're gonna make it this time. Yeah, Casey, they basically, I heard, reduced it by half. I don't know if the half number is true or not, but they have greatly reduced quantum travel times. Oh, God. Ugh, fuck. This is the gameplay, Hoskins. The gameplay is trying to get to the planet before the server kills itself. practically there. They really need more like Planetside POIs that you can jump to at Microtech. Like only Microtech really screws you.
We're not just doing this for money. We're doing it for a shitload of money. We're not just doing this for money. We're doing it for a shitload of money. We're not just doing this for money. We're doing it for a shitload of money. We're not just doing this for money. We're doing it for a shitload of money. We're not just doing this for money. We're doing it for a shitload of money.
Holy shit, yes, I was. I've been, what do you call it? I've been up for like 36 hours or something like that. So the idea to do this is probably not the smartest thing I've ever come up with. So yeah, that was awesome. Okay. Well, that's kind of annoying. I guess there's only one way to find out where the no-fly zone kill point is, and that'll do it. I'm gonna go to sleep for about 3-4 hours. Once I come back, we'll actually run through 308 more than just like landing at Microtech or blowing up against a building on Microtech. And try to do some missions, and hopefully by then I can see who from the channel actually has 3.8 access, and maybe we can try and do the 890 jump mission. That way I don't have to try to find random people from a server to do it. So I'm gonna go ahead and crash for a little bit. I will see you guys in about 3-4 hours, roughly, probably. So thank you, everybody. Sorry for falling asleep. I definitely passed out. I haven't gone to sleep in a while, so I apologize. I had, the other video the other day, and then binge watched The Expanse. Had to take the kids to school, get back, drop them off with their mom, then bunch of stuff for the girlfriend before she went to work, and then everything else. So I was like, oh man, 3.8 drop. Let's do that. That was probably a mistake. I probably should have waited and gotten some sleep first. So yeah, I will see you guys in a couple hours. Again, sorry for passing out. Between just being generally super exhausted and then drinking was a recipe for exactly what happened. So you guys have a good night, and I'll see you guys back here shortly.